And recording. So when I did the Unlucky Morpheus reaction, somebody in the comments mentioned that they heard a little bit of Cradle of Filth in their sound. And that made me think, I don't think I've heard very much Cradle of Filth. Uh, I sort of went through like my death metal phase, like a little bit after high school. I got into Dying Fetus and Cannibal Corpse and all that stuff, but I never really explored it all that much. Uh, Cradle of Filth, I think I heard a song here and there, but I'm not too familiar with them. So I just did a random search here on YouTube, and the very first song that came up is Nymphetamine Fix. So let's just jump into it. So this is not what I was expecting at all. Uh, Having heard the name before and seen the logo before, and even just in the thumbnail and the makeup, I just assumed this was like death metal with like death metal growls. So I'm a little caught off guard. I also didn't think they had a female singer. This is good though. I like this. That was really good. It's not at all what I was expecting. Like it did have a darkness quality to it that I was thinking was gonna be there, but this was a lot more melodic. It was a lot more melodic. I didn't necessarily expect there to be keyboards or like orchestral backing. Did I say bracking? Orchestral backing. I didn't expect there to be a female singer either. The the way the guy was singing like fits a little bit more in line with the weird expectation that I had in my head. And again, I don't think I've heard this band. Then I must be thinking of somebody else because I could have sworn I'd heard one or two songs by them before, and I may have. I just have no recollection of it now. This screamed like late 90s, like mid to late 90s, just in terms of like the aesthetic of everything and even kind of the sound. Like, is it wrong for me to like imagine this being on like the soundtrack for like Buffy the Vampire Slayer? All right. Well, the music. Um, I liked the sort of pre-chorus chorus that they had. Um, I liked the chords they were using. It was nice and menacing and dark. It rung out and echoed really well. Then the verse had a nice sort of muted, like a palm muted kind of a riff that was actually super nice. The the main guitar had a very melodic picking, a very melodic picking kind of sound to it that actually sounded really well with the way the woman was singing. I don't know any of their names. And then when the guy was singing, it was more over the actual palm muting. So there was that sort of nice sort of contrast where the guitar is muted and the way he's singing is a little muted and throaty. And then when she's singing, you can hear more melodic picking in the guitars. So the instruments matched with what the vocalists were doing. So I appreciated that. And it actually sounded really good, like juxtaposed next to each other. Drummer, I'm doing a lot of double bass, and he was going pretty heavy on some of the portions, which at first I thought was a little out of place given how tight and low everything sounded in the mix as far as the guitars and bass and vocals. But it did provide like a nice accompaniment to the actual like keys and orchestral pieces that were going on in the background too. So I'm having a hard time because in my head I'm picturing like a cube, and in the cube, in the back section, in the very top, is where I hear the drums, and then in the front, about three quarters of the way in the front, about a third of the way up, I hear the guitars, and then right in the center, right in the middle of the mix, is where the vocals sit. If that makes any sense. But yeah, this was good. I think part of the trouble I'm having with like communicating my thoughts about this is that I was expecting something a little different, not completely different. I was expecting more growls. I was expecting more uh, non-melodic playing and just like heavy walls of distortion. So this was really good. The female vocalist, the way she was singing was kind of the symphonic kind of style that I'm starting to get used to. but also I was starting to get some weird sort of typo negative. And I'm saying typo negative possibly because this is right here on the screen. But like there was some inherent darkness in the way she was singing. This was really interesting. Not at all what I was expecting, but good. I think the next song of theirs that I end up doing, whatever it ends up being, I think I'm gonna be more prepared to actually ingest the music. This was really good though.